Now this one is the closest one I came up with. And that is Kakashi versus Law. In the first scenario, that's in the, Naruto world. We know Kakashi's the best Jonin in the Leaf. And then he later became the Hokage, the sixth Hokage. He has Sharingan Eye. He's known as a copy ninja. He doesn't just know lightning and fire style. He knows earth style, wind style, water style. He's a well-rounded shinobi. That's why he was the best Jonin in the Leaf. And then Law, Trafalgar Law, is one of the worst generation members. He has a powerful paramecia type devil fruit called the Afa fruit. Anything pops up in his room, he can amputate it. He can hit it with some lightning. He can stab it. He can even take somebody's heart out. He can swap hearts with somebody and switch, personalities. He could perform an immortality, it's a thing too. But he would do that, at the right time in the story. People seek his dick for that. That's what I know about him. But this is a fight between Kakashi and Law, so I got, Kakashi, I ain't using the DMS of Kakashi. Why? Because he only used that for a little bit of time, and it was only used during Kaguya. So it's basically Kakashi with the Sharingan Eye before that. So he still has combo and all that extra stuff. But it's not like that. Strength goes to Kakashi in the Naruto world. He's fighting, he's always in a fight, he's not, ever being overpowered unless it's the actual top tiers, and Law is not a, top tier like that. He'll be able to fight against this guy, and stand up and protect who he has to protect and protect himself, and he's actually physically stronger than Law too, I believe. So it is strength for Kakashi. Speed goes to Law, and Law has speed because once he puts the room up, he uses a move called Shambles. See, I like that move, Shambles. He can switch spots with, people and inanimate objects. Anything he sees in that space. So he can switch spots so he don't get hit by an attack called Chidori. Durability goes to Kakashi. I do not know Law to be very durable, but I know him to have endurance. He can, endure the pain he's going through and still stay in a fight. That's what I know Law to be. Intelligence goes to Trafalgar Law. I didn't give it to Kakashi, unfortunately. I'm Kakashi fan. But I give the experience to Kakashi, as he's been a ninja his whole life. And Trafalgar Law wasn't always a pirate, so I give it to them. Close skills go to Kakashi. He runs up on him and he starts fucking around. He has, Chidori, he has, kunai he can use, and Law does have a sword that he uses in close quarters. But the range skills go to Law because if Kakashi backs out, even if say they're in the woods and shit, right? And Kakashi's not gonna back up too far. He won't back up too far, yeah. He wouldn't do that. Law uses the room and shit, and if Kakashi didn't catch wind of that, he has the ability to, cut down all the trees and maybe even cut Kakashi too in the process. So I got range skills because that's the room move that he uses. We got the recoup goes to Law because he's a doctor. He sewed his arm back on his head. Come on, man. He has that, on his side. Hacks go to Kakashi because he has no music called Sharingan. He can use Genjutsu and stuff. Now his Genjutsu are not these are big and stuff. Now he has Calm too. That will be a fun problem. But if he uses his arm, chopped off, he'll be able to keep himself alive because he is a doctor. but the environment goes to law then too. So I give the win to law here. It's funny though, right? Because I always do that. That's what I do. I'm smart. People forget that shit, that one thing. The Naruto world is not made up of all water like One Piece. So I give law the environment there. But in the next scenario, One Piece world, things change a little bit. Strength goes to Kakashi still. Speed is still law. Durability goes to Kakashi. Endurance goes to law. Intelligence goes to law, and then experience goes to Kakashi. With close skills going to Kakashi, and then range skills going to law. And then Riku going to law, and then hacks going to Kakashi, and then this time the environment goes to Kakashi because he has the ability to have him in the water. These are islands that they fight on in One Piece. Unless it's a big island they don't have, most of these islands are not the hugest. Kakashi could be like, playing games, and, he can make Law forget for a minute that they're on an island. He has that as winning condition. I say, this fight is not, easily won for either one. I got these. This is a high diff, extreme diff battle for like both scenarios. I'll say high diff. But it's 50-50. One could give it to Kakashi, or you could do other things and just be like, well, they're from that world, so they win. But I don't see it that way, because I don't do that, because I had that factor, and they keep forgetting, like I said, that in One Piece there's more water, so Naruto characters could actually, if they're smart enough, use that to their advantage. And they're ninjas, so they know how to analyze situations and shit, if they're smarter ninjas. So they would have that. And then the One Piece fan, or the One Piece, not fan, but the One Piece, the One Piece, person, when they go into the Naruto world, will be like, okay, there's not that much water here. This is an actual land mass that I'm standing on. I don't have to fucking worry about it. But this fight is 50-50. This was the closest one that I came up with. It was Kakashi versus Law. And I said this is not Kakashi with double Mangekyo Sharingan. This is Kakashi before he got that. That's why it's 50-50. But be cool in the corner and let me know what you think about Kakashi versus Law in the comment section.